Hey folks, Malforian here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at Star Trek Infinite patch 1.0.2 patch notes. Not a huge patch, but it's got some bug fixes, some quality of life stuff. As they mentioned last week, we're going to be getting a patch like this basically every week for the next month, all the way through November by the sounds of it, just bringing some improvements to the game, and this is the first, well, the second one, I guess, in that line of patches, and there's some really good stuff in here, especially around the Borg crisis, fixing up where that could get stuck if certain things around Picard basically happened. But we're just going to get straight into it. I'm not going to keep you long today, so hit that like button, subscribe if you are new here. And the first thing here is basically two pretty bad ones for sync and save have been fixed. Certain save games could get corrupted if you won certain types of war, which is pretty wild. I never encountered this myself, but hopefully you didn't either. And then the next one is that Iron Man mode no longer requires cloud saves. You can now play Iron Man and therefore unlock achievements without an internet connection. Again, this is a bit of a wild one. I always have my PC plugged in online, so I never encountered this, but again, pretty crazy. You couldn't basically earn achievements unless you were playing online, which doesn't really make sense, and I'm glad they've fixed that, because yeah, it's a little bit annoying. Not everyone can have their internet always turned on their PC, so good to see that that one has been fixed. Then we're getting into the gameplay changes. Removed the war situation event Lost Contact that made fleets disappear. The controlled demilitarized zone node for the Federation can now be completed, and a game restart is needed for this to be effective. I'm guessing that just means if you're playing the game when you read the patch notes, you just have to restart the game and it'll work. I guess that's what it means. A little bit weird, unless it means you have to start a whole new game as the Federation for it to work, which would be bad. But I guess at least it's fixed. But game restart, I'm not sure. That could go either way. I presume they mean you have to start a new game, like an entire full new game, and not just restart like the game. Fixed highway visuals. Warp highways no longer point to the galactic core in certain situations, like fighting a Nausicaan fleet, but to their given directions. Again, just a minor change there. I don't think it actually caused any actual issues. And then these are the big three for the Borg crisis. The Borg crisis will no longer be impossible to complete if Picard dies before the official project appears. If you are playing as the United Federation of Planets and don't have Picard when the official special project finishes, a new leader is created so it can finish, basically. This was causing a lot of people to get stuck and never been able to finish the Borg crisis, or I think some of the events like leading up to it, if you didn't have Picard, you basically couldn't do them. So they have thought about that now, and it looks like they have resolved that issue. Countdown timer and auto-fail conditions were added for the Borg crisis special projects so that players will not be blocked from continuing the crisis if they do not finish a special project. Again, people just getting stuck trying to do the crisis. All finished special projects related to the Borg crisis will now be removed from the mission log upon completion, just cleaning up the mission log basically because they're no longer relevant. So yeah, three good changes, especially because like the whole game basically builds up to the Borg crisis, and then there are still these ways where it could bug out, go weird, you couldn't actually fight it and things like that. So yeah, again, good to see a bunch of those done. And then next, we've actually got some content changes to the game itself. So they have finally fixed the Riker character. There's no longer a random other Riker that isn't Thomas Riker. It was basically that he was in the pool of recruitable leaders and he shouldn't have been. So he should only basically replace Picard as captain of the Enterprise. I'm not sure if that should be the only way you can do it. I would like it if there was some way, like, maybe if Picard lives to a certain age, you can move Riker to be captain of another ship or something like that, and you can, like, tell that story. Even if you had a bunch of events that are like, oh, Riker's leaving to captain another ship or something. I guess for now, this is the only way to do it and not have this weird issue happen. But anyway, good that they did fix it. It was a bit immersion breaking, having two Rikers and it not be the, you know, canon two Rikers from the TV show. The following buildings are now planet unique. The United Federation of Planets Chateau, Romulan's Amphitheater, Cardassian's Surveillance Complex, and Klingon's Pilgrimage Site. I think this was just to stop some cheesing. You could just stack these, I think, repeatedly on the same place. So good to see basically this is a balance change, I believe. Leave a comment down below if there was some other reason, but I believe it's just that you could just stack these, and because they're quite powerful, it was a bit silly. You could just constantly stack them. Fixed Edanian's secretive trait. It now reduces the energy upkeep of pops by 25%, as was intended, so just a bug fix. Romulan's supernova event can now be triggered when players evacuate all the pops from Romulus before the sun turns supernova, as it was originally intended. I think before this patch, you had to wait for this supernova event to happen, and then you basically proc the event to happen of you evacuating everyone from Romulus, but now you can basically just trigger it. As soon as you've removed everyone from there, you can just trigger the kind of event to spawn, and you've evacuated everyone from there. So it doesn't matter if the sun goes supernova now, because everyone's escaped. Well, obviously, it's still a bad thing that it goes supernova, but you know what I mean. Defensive packs, non-aggression packs, commercial packs, research agreements, and guarantee independence will not be blocked even if one of the players even if one of the powers involved dominates the balance of power with a great advantage. So this is just a little bit of a balance change, I think, to prevent the one nation that's leading the balance of power basically cutting off everyone else from doing things. So a good change, I believe, there as well. Ships reworked ships' behavior. Fleets can now travel into any system within warp range, even after being left out of it by an ending of a war or terminating a share warp agreement, or a bug fix, I guess. It obviously should have worked this way before. When in combat, ships can now take into account their weapons range to engage valid targets when following their combat computer's given behavior, ensuring that they make good use of all their weapons. Again, more of a bug fix. It's not really a balance. It's just obviously it should have been working that way, and now it is. Fix ships options. Ships obtained through assimilation now don't show the upgrade button active. The Enterprise can now be protected from accidental dismantling. I've not pressed that button by accident, but I'm sure some of you have. Leave a comment down below. Have you pressed that button? Have you accidentally decommissioned the Enterprise and regretted it instantly? I'm sure one of you have. One of you must have done this watching this video. Klingon birds of prey can now have the cloaking device again. Kind of wild that they didn't have it before, but again, good to see it fixed. And then a couple of UI changes. The initial UI scaling can now be determined by the game's resolution. The Empire sector screen is now available in every possible resolution. Yes, there were some resolutions where it wouldn't show you the screen. On to the next one. So the next one's actually a reverse of the last patch. So they've now changed it so borderless full screen isn't the default mode because it was crashing certain systems. Bit of a strange crash, but I guess it was happening enough that they wanted to reverse that change. Tutorial steps will no longer be blocked by the tutorial prompt. Lads, what's going on? And then the last one, really, if you are playing multiplayer, the L hotkey will now allow players to access the lobby chat during a multiplayer game. I think you had to click it before. I've not actually played this game multiplayer. Someone will have to say below, but I think there was no hotkey before, so it was a little bit weird to get into it. Now you can just press L and you're good. Audio, now there's a good change in here. It's the one you've all been waiting for. Ownership of the Klingon voiceover pack and Lower Decks theme pack can now be properly verified by the launcher. Pretty wild that this was paid DLC that you potentially couldn't access just due to a bug in the launcher. But anyway, the following audio messages will no longer be triggered every time a leader is removed from the game for different reasons, nor play at the start of the tutorial. Yes, F in the comments, guys. We have lost a true Federation hero. Will no longer just spam out randomly during the game. When I was streaming this on launch day, I had no idea what it meant. I was just like, what's going on? Why do I keep being told this? As one of my scientists died, as one of my captains died, and it would just kind of proc off constantly. If you've been playing the game, you've obviously encountered this as well. And yeah, they fixed that, so it no longer does it every time a leader is removed from the game. It now just happens correctly. I guess if the leader is actually active doing something and they die, it happens. But yeah, good to see that's changed. It was a little bit annoying that would just go off every so often. And then the last one, just some spelling and localization improvements. As they said in the last one, just reminding people that there is a chance with every patch that previous saves won't work. These are minor patches, so I think they will work in most cases, but there is a chance. But then they also do give you the steps to roll it back to the previous patch if you did want to finish your campaign before moving on to the latest update. This is basically how all Paradox games work, so if you've played one before, you know this. But if you're new and Star Trek's your first dip into the Paradox world, make sure to follow this advice, because then you don't lose your games, which everyone here will have lost a game, let's be honest. Everyone who's played a Paradox game has lost a save game of some kind due to a patch upgrade and it just breaking the save. So that is going to be it for today. Another quick video. I wanted to cover this though because there are some good fixes. If you've been holding off doing another campaign because of the Borg things or the Picard issues, or you just didn't like 2 Rikers on your screen, they're all fixed, and I just wanted to make sure you're all aware of that and you could get back in and enjoy it. As I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a patch every week, and I believe still a dev diary every week, so I'll be covering those on the channel. So hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. I'm covering all of Star Trek Infinite and other Paradox and Grand Strategy games on the channel. So, yep, hit that subscribe and you'll get all that in the future. But we'll leave it there for today, and I'll see you in the next one.